So while looking at the traits now, I'll start with the BOERBOELs. Many a times, because of the size, people tend to lose the understanding that you could damage their pasterns. I think the Rottweilers have a lesser immune system to German Shepherds and the BOERBOELs. Rottweilers tend to calm down easily. From my experience, good thing is I've had the opportunity to breed these 3 breeds at some point in time.
Beautiful.
Okay, so I'll start with the BOERBOELs. I bred BOERBOELs for about 6 years, and we were able to achieve a lot of things and learn a lot of things. But one major thing I later realized is when you have too many breeds, we get carried away by thinking how you take care of a Rottweiler is the same way that would go for a BOERBOEL or for a German Shepherd, which it's quite different. It's quite different because you're working on improving on different traits. I think the only particular thing that generalizes all of them is when you're talking about the hips and the joints, which the Rottweilers don't really have that much of a problem. But we're looking at the hips for the German Shepherds and even some BOERBOELs. You know, so if I'm going to have to recommend a certain level of exercise for a German Shepherd, it's going to be different from that which I'll recommend for a BOERBOEL. You know, so while looking at the traits now, I'll start with the BOERBOELs. Many a times, because of the size, people tend to lose the understanding that you could damage their pasterns, you could damage their legs, and they just feed the dogs and want them to be big. You know, I had a chat with a breeder many years ago that made me understand that when you have that trait in the dog, it's just a matter of time, it's still going to achieve it. Don't rush in making the dog get too big, because it's already naturally big. It's going to be a big dog naturally. So if you're now trying to facilitate the process, feeding too much and everything, you now have a dog that has no form. When I say no form, you have some BOERBOELs that will have the east-west legs, which is a fault. You have some that will have bad hindquarters. There's something common with them too, cowhawks. Cowhawk is, let me say in easy terms, like having K-leg. Yeah, so, you know, those are the things that would come up with a BOERBOEL if wrongly bred and developed. And when you're looking at the breeding too, you don't just see a big dog and you feel you get a result. I've had a very, very practical example. You know, I had a very massive male and he was a very big dog, and I felt there was a big female too. I went all out to get the female, and they were not compatible. They were not compatible. Now, none of the pups they both bred ever turned out as big as both of them, irrespective of how we did the breeding. When we did the breeding, people come up of breed at this particular time, you get more males, breed at this particular time, you get this thing. Tell me, we did everything, and none of their puppies ever grew half the size of what the parents look like. Wow. But on the other hand, there was a particular male owned by Mr. Francis. He's a pioneer dog breeder in Nigeria here. He had a male. That male would pass for a local dog. Yeah, the name was Mobutu. Mobutu was bred from Dreamsnet BOERBOELs. Mr. Rufai back then, Dreamsnet bred Mobutu. Mobutu would pass for a local dog, but that dog produced world-class puppies.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you see dogs at 12 months, thrice the size of their father.
Wow.
Just put a good female to him. So it's left for those of you that understand the essence of breeding, because now many people look at when you want to buy a puppy today, they ask you, where's the father? Where's the mother's picture? Seeing the father and the mother does not automatically give you the result. You know, what are they carrying? Have you looked into the pedigree? What are they going to give you? And same thing goes with the German Shepherds. I'll go to them next. When you're breeding the German Shepherds, it's very important you look at the angulation of your dogs. You look at the hindquarters. There are some that are over-angulated. And when I say over-angulated, they have, you know, the mentality most people have when they talk about slant back.
It's
is
very
for you
bent.
to see a bent, scalded dog, you know, and even when the presentation is done on the internet by the whites who have done this, they stack the dog for you to see what they want you to see. You know, so when you have a dog that standing or walking is already having wobbling legs and this, and then there's a fault. So when you have a dog, and there are some that even because of wrong breeding, doesn't mean their genes are bad. But when you put an overangulated dog to an overangulated dog, you're going to have definitely a bad puppy. So now we come in, the essence of breeding is improving on A and B. So when you have a good male, very good angulation, good hindquarters, you have a female, relatively good angulation, or let me say a little bit over angulated, then you're improving on the quality of the female. Then you also have to consider that most times it's best to put practical example. Now I'm speaking for myself. Most times it's best to put a good male to a better female when you want to improve, because the females have let me say 60 to 70% of what the outcome would be.
Wow.
So if you put a fantastic male to a female to a bad female, the chances of you getting bad puppies is higher than when you put a bad male to a fantastic female.
Amazing.
So I'm speaking from practical examples that we've had. We've bred dogs where we feel this male should be bred to this female, but no. If you look at what the male carries, you look at the bloodline, you look at what other breeders have done. You know what people don't. Most of us are short-sighted. If I'm going to do a pairing, I look at what someone else with the litter mate of my male has bred, the kind of females he bred to, and what the results were. And this is when I'm looking at breeding dogs that I want to keep. Doesn't mean I'll now do a bad breeding to sell puppies. You know, there are times where we have to keep 4 puppies to about 5-6 months before we decide on what to retain and what to let go, just because we're looking for a particular trait. Yeah, and for the Rottweilers, I think the major thing that I think the Rottweilers fault I experienced with the Rottweilers, aside the bad hind legs, irregular breeding, then one other thing is their health. I think the Rottweilers have a lesser immune system to the German Shepherds and the BOERBOELs. Rottweilers tend to calm down easily. They tend to calm down easily. So the essence of biosecurity is very key when you're a Rottweiler breeder. I don't think you get to any Rottweiler breeder's place and you find someone that knows what he's doing, and you find the place not hygiene, as in the hygiene level not so high, because they already know from experience. Rottweilers will drop easily compared to the BOERBOEL, compared to the German Shepherd.